I don't know where, dmvinke and SJP versus, Pavelski or Ninja fall in that line, but we are going to Great Hall. And I think, relatively speaking, it's a pretty big map, so maybe that's the sort of style they prefer.
And with weapons like axe and guns, you kind of want that big area of space, because something like the sword, something like the guitars can really rush you down on those smaller, like, let's say, Miami Dome or small Brawlhaven. So it's a map pick that makes sense coming out from these teams. It's pretty favored, I'd say, in 2v2. The Great Hall is picked by a lot of teams, as you were mentioning. It's kind of the middle ground between super, super large and not. Oh, and right off the bat, we see SJP with that down sig killing pretty early because it hit on that little side platform there. So that's the thing about Great Hall. Those platforms can help extend your kills, and if you're not getting them there, they're kind of going to be a little late.
I see right off the bat, dmvinke doing some really good stuff with his lance, carrying Ninja with a bunch of nairs. Pavelski and Ninja are trying to find their footing, but Pavelski down a whole stock. That's just been a huge boon on their side. On the opposite side, though, he picked up one kill. I thought he was about to pick up two, but of course, Great Hall does have very high ceilings, and that's of course always going to be a challenge for anyone trying to kill off the top. And of course, guns players with that gun recovery, that's a pretty common option for them.
But he finds another one and he gets the kill, and pretty much evened up the game here. Even though the Ninja falls, he just strikes right back with that gun recovery.
Pavelski almost trying to get a gimp onto dmvinke. Tries to find that slide charge side heavy, the haymaker just barely missing, and then decides to quickly pivot over to help out his teammate and get some damage onto SJP.
It seems like, well, I will say that Pavelski seems to be running away with these guns. It's definitely the weapon that has brought them back in this game, because for the first stock, he had those guitars. I say that right as he falls, there's a commentator's curse. But the first stock, he definitely felt like he didn't do very much with those guitars. So definitely favoring those guns. That's the awareness that I like to see.
I will say, I think it's really funny that it looks like Pavelski was about to get trapped in this black hole, and Ninja's response ended up being hitting him with a haymaker, which continued the black hole for just a little bit longer. But he turns out okay, and they almost get a good combo onto SJP, but it looks like they're going to be able to get the Gimp anyway. Finds the dares. dmvinke is not there to save his teammate, and instead gets a trade by finishing off Ninja, and now we're down to last stocks for every player.
This game has been so back and forth, but Pavelski has just been so slightly behind, and so that might end up hurting. I think the game really, really depends on him staying alive right here. If the Ninja can get a little bit of a comeback in damage, they'll still be in this game.
Pavelski looking for that dare into recovery on the opposite side. Ninja trying to find the kill onto dmvinke, almost finds a neutral signature, but it just doesn't hit. It's in the magnifying glass. It's hard to tell how close he really was, but Pavelski does get eliminated. Now it's down to a 1v2, the Ninja against the rest of the red team. But he's got a lot of damage to work with here. He wasn't too damaged to begin with. However, he is starting to rack up hits in the form of lots of weapon throws and little hits here from dmvinke, and they are going to find a two combo and get the kill and finish it off. SJP and dmvinke winning game one, but it was certainly close.
Yeah, you can see it in the damage numbers. They are pretty much neck and neck. And there's one moment at the end there where Pavelski overextended to try and finish the team combo, and he died because of it. And that might have been, one of the things that put the nail in the coffin for the blue team. And you got to be careful with those team combos. The other player, they're raring to get back into it. Right out of hit stun, you know what? I'm gonna kill you, Pavelski. And if you're slightly off with your spacing, might just happen. Might just lose your stock.
I also think it's really interesting, how different teams will prepare for those 2v1 situations. Some will just sort of practice out these bread and butter combos that they know by heart, and other teams will just say, we just need awareness of what moves we like to use in general, and then once we get in that situation, we just wing it and make it work. And a lot of the times the really skilled teams will end up making that work.
And you saw it at the end there. I think that's a really good point. That little mini team combo, it wasn't enough to kill from white, but they had the awareness that the Ninja was a little damaged, that side sig from the Brax's guns was enough to clean it out, and that was a great 2v1.
But as we get on into this next game, we are going to a slightly smaller map, of course, the favorite of Mammoth Fortress. And both teams looking pretty even so far. dmvinke doing quite a lot of work here and not taking too much damage. The nice slide charge down sig does manage to catch out the Ninja. And another one to get Pavelski, and that's a big lead for the red team.
If I'm blue team right now, I need to find an answer to this Lance, because that first stock, he was allowed to run free and get all this damage, and it's still coming out. That downlight, that nair,
what to do with
that neutral light right there. DMV is definitely running away with this game. If I'm the Ninja there, I gotta do that downlight save. You can't go for the dodge, or DMV just dodge right out of it.
And now blue team really trying to catch up here. I gotta say, Ninja's done a really good job not taking any damage while he tries to finish off these stocks. SJP goes down and tries to find the team combo with that falling side air onto dmvinke, but he's staying alive and continuing to just maneuver his way around both Ninja and Pavelski, just using those classic Lance side airs and down airs. It's not just good for putting out hitboxes, it is just a great movement tool.
That was great awareness from DMV to do that neutral sig, and
he's still
the
going.
Teamwork, the weapon throw combo. SJP barely missed the follow-up with the recovery, but he gets it there later anyway, and red team running away with this game too.
Just some really good stuff coming out. Like dmvinke's general performance has been fantastic, and not only that, you know, SJP has done a really good job at backing him up. When he's gotten into those high red damage numbers, he can use himself as this sort of bait, and SJP is there to help him out when he needs it. But they finally do take him out. Now they're looking for the quick kill onto SJP before dmvinke gets back on stage. Unfortunately, unable to find it, unable to get that gimp onto dmvinke with that axe, and it's not looking great for the blue team as they struggle to figure out what they're going to do to make this comeback. dmvinke finds the kill onto Pavelski, looking for the kill onto the Ninja. Of course, at this point, I'm sure red team is going to start getting greedy, but of course they can. They have 4 stocks to their name.
They have 4 stocks, and from a game that was pretty much last hit, like a last hit 2v1, and then just that dominant performance from red team. That's very impressive. So if I'm blue team, what do I do in this next game?
Yeah, so
find some answer to that, Lance.
You know, you go into game 3, you think, what are we going to do in Lord Vax? I'm going to tell you right now, if this was NA, I feel like the answer would be Fate, but I haven't seen very much Fate in EU in general. I know that the Fate pick has been more of a 1v1 than a 2v2, but I mean, you more than anyone would know all about the power of Fate in 2v2, and I think it's really interesting that EU hasn't really subscribed to that in general, it seems.
I think Fate is so good against Rax. Like, Orb against Lance, I feel like is a very favorable matchup for Orb, but the Ninja, instead of Orb, opts for the Cannon, which is kind of like a mini Lance, if you think about it.
I don't see very much wrong with this pick. I think Cannon is one of those weapons that people, I wouldn't say they're sleeping on it, but it's got such weird interactions that not a lot of people see it as one of these big counter pick weapons that they need to learn, so much as it's like, oh, if I'm going to put time into it, I'm probably going to end up like having to change my playstyle around it, right? Which is pretty fair. But if you can put in the time, it's a very unique weapon in terms of how it handles different counter picks, and I think up against the Lance, it's going to feel really strong.
And if someone doesn't have enough experience against Ken, you can definitely cheese him out with some of these things that they've never seen before. And the Ninja, I don't know if you saw his level on that Sidra, I'm pretty sure it was level 80. So he's got the time. He's got the gold forge cannon as well.
But Pavelski...
With that being said, he gave him the chase dodge. He was...
I will say, SJP was about to be right there for the save,
for the save.
Even if he didn't give the chase dodge. So I can still respect the attempt, right? He was just trying to find the dare to finish it off before the save came in. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way. But respect to Pavelski for getting such a good guitar string onto dmvinke. Now they just need to figure out a way to finish it before he goes on this huge tirade on his first stock. And it's already begun. They got the first stock onto Pavelski instead.
Yeah, it's kind of the same story from game 1 where Pavelski falls very early despite the rest of the players sort of being in the same damage range, you know, not exactly, but about that level. Ooh, the Ninja with a great wall combo. I like to see that.
That was really nice. I was wondering what option he was going to go for because it was a neutral light, it was going to pop him up just a little bit, and many of the options he was probably thinking would have been either too low or too high, and he found that down light and got the perfect hit.
So I think the Ninja, oh no, I was about to say I think the Ninja needs to hold on to this stock, but commentator's curse works in mysterious ways.
That being said, as we go down into the second stock for every team, it's looking much more even than that first game, a little bit closer to the second here, but there's a lot more going on this time because of that Vrax and that Sidra pick between how these teams are interacting.
I think, I mean, I haven't seen that much cannon out from the Ninja, but either way, it seems like he's playing with so much more confidence this game than in Game 2 that we saw in Mammoth Fortress.
And I think
That
there
being
is certainly something to be said about dealing. Oh no! Oh, it's not gonna kill him. But they
But
did
even
get
so, that
tons of
damage is brutal.
Tons of damage, and that's gonna put blue team in a big deficit here after losing the stock on Pavelski, who's down to his last. All that damage on. Oh, and there's a neutral signature again. Red team's doing a really good job at not necessarily the practice combos, but just finding the quick hits off of each other and good awareness from both players to be ready to immediately follow up on whatever their teammate does.
The story of this set very much seems to be like the Ninja and Pavelski are two players playing 2v2, and SJP and DMV, they're a team. They're getting these team combos, they're spacing around each other, they're sandwiching the other players, and I mean, you saw it all there with all those confirms, you know. Confirming the kill is the most important. Alright, we got a little fire. Okay, there's...
Well,
Ninja knows.
I mean,
He had that little taunt.
he knows. There's 4 stocks. Wow,
It's looking grim.
that was some weapon throw. He's taking a lot.
And that'll do it,
All
that
right.
neutral sig.
And with that, SJP and dmvinke, really well done. That's some really good adaptation coming in off the first game. It was close, but everything after that was just straight up